Hello, I'm NES Cardinality, and this is my GDQ submission video for Dragon Warrior. It's been a long and interesting road getting this game from an over 5.5 hour speedrun to an under half-hour exercise in RNG manipulation. We're going to start by choosing the name exclamation point. We want a one-character name so that it takes less time for our name to print on screen when it's used. And it turns out the name that we choose influences our stat growth. We want a name that gives us 26 magic points at level 7. Let's get underway. 3, 2, 1, go! So the first thing we need to do is pick up the 3 treasure chests in the throne room. Then we need to save and reset. We need to exit the throne room and re-enter so that the king will let us save. And basically what happens is every time we reset, the game calculates an RNG checksum, which will determine our initial RNG seed value, which determines all subsequent RNG calculations. And it turns out that we can manipulate our way along a common path, so we just need that first value. Every time we reset, the game is going to calculate this checksum based on our experience, gold, items, and level. And all we have to do is clear the king's text box on a specific frame. And I know I got the correct frame because of the way the guard moved. It turns out that the RNG that governs enemy encounters also governs the way NPCs move. So we can use that as an indicator to determine that we're on the correct frame. Now we're going to start by walking up here, and I'm going to take a pause on the first forest tile. The reason I do this is because if I had walked onto the second tile, we would have encountered an enemy. And when we pause on a tile, our input is locked for exactly 16 frames, and the RNG advances forward 16 values in that time, and this allows us to skip over unwanted encounters. Each pause has a nice lenient window. 16 frames is a little bit more than a quarter of a second, but the difficulty comes in chaining all of these manipulations together in real time. If you make one mistake, if you pause for too long or something, the RNG will spiral out of control and there's no way to recover it. We can use this technique to advance ourselves anywhere on the world map. In this case, we are getting to the zone that has metal slimes. And we're going to take a longer pause here to set up our first metal slime encounter. And now we're going to hold the B button. The game is going to ask us for our command, and on the 6th command buffer, we're going to move to the A button to give us an excellent move, which will defeat the metal slime in one attack. This first metal slime gets us to level 5. We need level 7. Now when you clear a text box after a battle, because of the way the game was programmed, if you clear it on an odd frame, you'll get one path. If you clear it on an even frame, you'll get another. So I needed to find 2 possible paths that worked for me. On this one, we get a Magiwyvern. And now we have to pause again to set up our second metal slime encounter. Here I'm going to use an arrow manipulation. I'm holding the up arrow, which is a direction in which the cursor cannot move. And I'm watching the number of times that it flashes. Again, when I do that, the arrow is locked in place for 16 frames, or multiples of 16 frames. And that allows us to aim for a specific frame, which allows us to map out a specific result. Here again, we have to wait. And then just walk to our 3rd metal slime. Here we're going to do a combination of command buffers and arrow buffers to get the quickest excellent move possible. One more metal slime to go. Here we need to wait a little bit longer. And I'm just using the music in the background to give me an audio cue of exactly when I want to clear the text box. Here we're going to get either a Wraith Knight or a Knight. And then we just walk to our 4th metal slime. And again, we're going to do a combination of command buffers and arrow buffers, this time on the 5th command. And we're holding the up arrow until I see the correct number of flashes, and there's our 4th excellent move. Now that we have the experience we need, we've learned the sleep spell, we're going to Death Warp back to the king, save and reset, and set up a new manipulation path. This Demon Knight gives us a nice quick Death Warp. He attacks first. So yeah, we're going to save and reset, and the game is going to calculate a new RNG checksum. From this point, we map out a new path in advance, and I follow the path I've mapped out to a new objective. And we got the correct frame there. We can tell by the way the guard moved. Here, these ladies are going to move in a specific order as well, and we know we're on the correct frame. It's just a way to verify. Next thing we're going to do is go east to Remulder. We're going to fight a gold man outside of town so that we have enough money to buy 5 keys. Only 3 keys are required to beat the game. We're going to use the other 2 keys to pick up some wings, which are behind 2 doors. And the wings will save us an 80-second walk home at the end of the game. Don't have to worry about the damage we're taking. Now I'm about to walk in the dark. In the dark, I'm going to use bonks against walls to determine where I am and how many frames I want to skip ahead. And we're clear. So same thing, we're stopping to avoid unwanted encounters. There's going to be one more stop here, and then we encounter our gold man. Now, of course, we need to keep him asleep so that he doesn't kill us in one hit. And then we're doing manipulations to ensure that our hurt spell does as much damage as possible so that we kill him faster. And also that he stays asleep. Every turn he has a 1 in 3 chance to wake up. So we need to ensure that our hurt spells are hitting on frames where he stays asleep. Here we're going to encounter either a warlock or a wolf. We just run away immediately and head into town. And this section is essentially complete now. We're going to head to the west side of town, buy 5 keys, open up the 2 doors in this town, pick up our wings, which are, again, going to save us 80 seconds at the end of the game. And then we're going to do another Death Warp back, save and reset, and start ourselves on a new path of RNG. The process of mapping out all these paths, it takes a very long time, but of course, as a speedrunner, it's a very rewarding process, being able to save so much time in this game. Less than 2 years ago, this game took over 5 hours to complete, but with RNG manipulation, we can beat it in under a half hour. So here we use the desert tiles, which have the highest encounter rate. 1 in every 8 steps will encounter an enemy. And the wolf will give us a very quick Death Warp. So again, we're going to save and reset and start along a new path, and on this new path, we're going to pick up 2 vital items. Just have to make sure we clear the text box on the correct frame again. If the guard goes left, yes, we're on the correct frame. Here we have to dodge this lady. So we need, we're going to pick up 2 items. We're going to pick up Erdrick's Armor and then Erdrick's Token. We're going to do them on the same manipulation path. Again, we have to clear a text box after picking up Erdrick's Armor, so we're going to encounter an enemy in between that will allow us to determine exactly what frame we're on, and then we'll continue on to Erdrick's Token. The token is one of 3 key items required to get the rainbow drop, which allows us access to the last castle. And Erdrick's Armor isn't actually necessary to beat the game, but it's going to help us because we need to not take any damage on the barrier damage tiles in the final castle. So here we're entering the dead town of Hawksness. There's one more stop on this tile, Then we encounter an Axe Knight who we need to put to sleep. And again, every time we hit him, we need to make sure that we hit him on a frame that keeps him asleep. And when we're casting the Hurt spell, we want it to do as much damage as possible. Here we do 12, which is the maximum. Here we're going to do 11, which is 1 off of the maximum. And here I found another quick excellent move, which does 18 damage. Alright. We have to very quickly clear this text box. That looked good. Then we walk out of town. And I just want to make sure I get everything right here. I think we're basically in the clear now. We're going to stop here, and here. And another stop here. And the token is on a very specific square. We just have to know in advance where it is. The game gives you a hint later on about where to find it. But we know exactly where it is, so we don't need that. And here I set up a werewolf encounter that will defeat us in 2 hits so that we get back home as quickly as possible. Plenty of time for donations to be read in the next section. In this section, if I were doing a normal speedrun, trying to go for a world record improvement, I wouldn't be saving here. But here we're going to save just for marathon safety. This next section is unmanipulated, mainly for 2 reasons. The first is that I doubt it would save very much time to manipulate this section, but the main thing is we're going to have to open 2 doors along the way, and not this one. This one I could route to a different point in the run. But the 2 doors in Grinham and Garen's Grave, basically what happens when you open a door, the RNG reacts kind of wildly in an unpredictable way. So it becomes very difficult and complex to map out paths once you open a door. So we're going to do this next section unmanipulated. Plenty of time for donations to be read in this section. We're going to pick up the silver harp from the bottom of Garen's Grave, which is the second of 3 key items. Or I suppose it's the third. We just picked up the second, the Stones of Sunlight, which is what our other key was for. We have 2 keys left, and we're going to use both in Garen's Grave. So here we're just going to quickly run away from whatever enemies we encounter. Doesn't take too long. Oh, this magician actually blocked our path. That's not going to happen very often against low-level enemies. This is the last square before town. There's the first door we have to open. The second is on the first floor of this upcoming cave. And we're going to use a torch to light our way. We don't actually need to use the torch, but it's going to allow us to walk through more quickly. If I were walking in the dark again, I'd be using bonks against walls to determine exactly where I am, and that just takes a little bit of extra time. We can light the torch very quickly, and then we don't have to bonk at all. And there's the second door we had to open. So we're just going to be running from whatever enemies we find. It's a pretty short walk. Most of the enemies are pretty easy in this cave. Have a high probability of running first try for most of them. So not too much to worry about here. If we were to get super unlucky RNG, we would simply just have to restart the section from where we saved, which is only about a minute of time. And it happens very rarely. On the next floor, we will pick up the Silver Harp, and we'll do another Death Warp to get us back to the throne room as quickly as possible. And we're looking for basically anything but a Spectre will do. The best thing we can find is a Wraith Knight. A Droll Magi's good because they're strong, but 50% of the time they'll cast Stop Spell, which just doesn't do anything. Probably 2 more attacks for him to defeat us. That's 3 attacks in a row. We're getting good RNG here so far. 4 attacks in a row. Excellent. This next section is the final section. It's very lengthy. We combine a lot of things in one. We're going to start by getting the Staff of Rain, which is required for the Rainbow Drop. That was too late, so we need to try again. We need to clear the text box on a specific frame. Oh, we were too early that time, so again, we can just reset and try again. And this time, if he goes down, we got it. Here, they're gonna go upright, down right, and that's a way for us to verify that we're on the correct frame. We're gonna pause on the castle briefly. So this is by far the most difficult section of the run. I've routed together 5 phases. Each phase is separated by the need to clear a text box, which means we have to encounter an enemy to figure out what frame we're on every single time. So the manipulations need to be accurate. There's one more pause before the Staff of Rain, and that's going to happen right here. We actually need to clear 2 text boxes here, which doesn't make it more complicated. We just have to be quick on each clear. And then we walk outside and encounter another enemy. It's going to be either a Magidrake or a Scorpion. So that's Phase 1, and we know that we're back on track. Phase 2 is picking up the Rainbow Drop. We're going to stop here, and here. Again, we have to go through the Swamp Cave. And again, we have to do our bonks in the dark to determine where we are. We get the Rainbow Drop all the way at the southern edge of this continent. It's an easy walk to get down there, but then after we pick it up, we need to do a very careful manipulation, encounter an enemy to figure out what frame we're on, and proceed forward. Two more stops before the staircase. So that looked like a good text box clear. We're going to encounter a Wolf Lord down here. And that's Phase 2. We're on track again. Phase 3 is going to be revealing the staircase behind the throne room on the first floor of Sharlock. Phase 4, we're going to be picking up Erdrick's sword, which is going to allow us to beat the first form of the Dragon Lord faster. We need to save all our magic points for the second form, so we need the sword to beat the first form much faster. Otherwise, it would take about a half an hour to chip away at him, 1 point of damage per attack. So picking up the sword is a bit of a detour in the final castle. Here we use the Rainbow Drop, and at the end of this text box we actually get a command prompt to clear the screen, and we can just hold the A button to do it. So we don't have to set up another manipulation here, which is just a nice bonus. One more stop before the final castle. And here we are entering the final castle within the first 20 minutes of the game. Now after this floor, we're going to be in the darkness, so I'm going to be listening to audio cues. I'm going to be talking a lot less. Just want to make sure I get everything right. Again, we have to encounter an enemy here. And here we go. So far, so good. Second floor. Third floor. Fourth floor. One more floor to the sword. Perfect. Three more floors. And here, everything's going to be a lot easier because now we can actually see where we are. The last floor is actually lit up. So here, we just do a few more stops to route our way into a favorable Dragon Lord encounter. And again, we're going to be using manipulations to get the most favorable results possible for a quick defeat. So the first thing we need to do is ensure that our attacks on this form do as much damage as possible. Here you can see we're doing 10 damage every time. The maximum is actually 11, but 11s don't happen very often. And we need to make sure that the Dragon Lord casts Stop Spell on us every time, instead of attacking, otherwise he would defeat us rather quickly. So that's what all these manipulations are for. Here we're going to take a little damage, no big deal. And that's the first form. Now the second form, we need to keep him asleep, and we need to keep casting the hurt spell on him, just like the other enemies we defeated. The sleep spell only has a 1 in 16 chance of working on him, so we needed to find a specific frame and make it happen. So even with Erdrick's sword, we would only be doing 1 damage every time we attacked. So our magic speeds up the process. So we need to hit him 12 times with all 12 shots of hurt. Command, command, command. Always using combinations of command buffers and arrow buffers for the quickest possible hits. Like the sleep spell, the hurt spell only has... hang on. Only has a 1 in 16 chance of actually hitting the Dragon Lord. And when it does hit, we want to make sure that it does enough damage and that the Dragon Lord stays asleep. So mapping out a Dragon Lord fight can take well over an hour. But it's very rewarding, obviously. Looks like 4 more to go. This time on the 4th command, and then some arrow buffering. We find our hurt for 11 damage. Another 11 damage, and our final hit will do 12 damage. On the 11th command, and a little arrow buffer. And that's Dragon Warrior. So manipulation allows us to beat the game in under a half an hour. Again, here we use wings instead of taking about 80 seconds to walk back to our home castle. I'll give a quick countdown from 3 for where the timer stops. It's on last input. And 3, 2, 1, time. So making this route marathon safe only added maybe a minute and a half extra, a little less than 2 minutes to this run. So it works out really well. I've performed this run in multiple online marathons now without any difficulties whatsoever. It's very complex to string this all together and to execute in real time. But I've been doing manipulation runs for over a year now, and I'm very used to the process. It's become very enjoyable, and I think it's something a lot of people enjoy watching as well. So that's Dragon Warrior with RNG manipulation. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you all so much for watching.